Sometimes a subject captures your painter's heart, but when you sit down to paint, it suddenly seems rather too much of a daunting prospect. Not just me, I hope. So you start negotiating with yourself. It's a bit hard. I don't have the skills. Maybe I should take a drawing class first. Before you know it, you've talked yourself right out of painting. All of this overrides that first little squeal of delight at spotting something lovely enough to paint. And delight is really the whole point of painting in the first place, so let's not let anything get in the way of that. When a reference photo feels daunting, it's usually a sign that what you need is some simplification. That's the secret, to give yourself permission to edit your reference photos with abandon. But how do you actually go about this? Well, I can tell you what I try to do. Here's a photo I took when I was out for a walk in the suburbs one day. So I always start by looking at what appeals to me initially. In this photo that I took, it was those lovely lavender bushes. I've also been thinking a lot about letterboxes recently. Do you think they might disappear one day, like fax machines or the CD Walkman? Anyway, what about the things that I don't need in my painting? Things like the buildings, this weird pole, the tree trunk. These things are really just clutter, visual noise that's distracting from the main story that I want to tell in my painting, so I'm just going to leave them out. That feels much more approachable. So now I can start with a little splash of blue in the sky and something nice and pale to be the paving section in the foreground to get us going. The letterbox is quite meaningful to me, so it is part of the story that I want my painting to tell. I definitely want it in there, but it also makes for a very nice contrasting vertical element. I really like its square form against the more organic shapes of the plants. And I think it's very helpful to be paying attention to what you actually like. Not because you need to justify any of your decisions. It's perfectly fine to like something just for the sake of it. When we've spent so many years adulting, it's easy to forget how nice it is to like something just because. Let's make the most of it in our paintings. And it's also how we find our own painting style. I do want to show a light side and a dark side of the letterbox to give it its form, but I'm going to need to let it dry a little bit so that those edges are more distinct. So let's paint something else in the meantime. I always enjoy painting these spiky grasses, so I was very happy to include them in my painting. I want to make sure that I use lots of different colours, because that's another thing that I find very interesting about this little section of garden, is that the foliage is similar in shape but different in colour, and each plant has got multiple colours in it. So I'm trying to pay attention to where the lights and darks are, because not only do they add interest, they also give us an idea of the shape of the plant. I've got 3 plants in my painting that are this particular colour, so I'm going to do all 3 of those at once. I want them to be looking like they're the same plant, so it helps if I paint with the same colours while I've got them out. And it'll be great if my distant ones are a little bit paler and less distinct, and the closer ones in the foreground have a little bit more detail. But if I don't manage to pull this off, I won't get too upset about it. It would just be a nice to have. I'll paint a couple of the other grasses in exactly the same way, but using different colours. So a different yellow and a slightly more blue-green. This is Cascade Green, one of my favourites, and Raw Sienna instead of my yellow-green that I used in the first bunch of spiky grasses. I want to make my light letterbox stand out, so one of the things I need to do is put dark foliage right against it to pop that edge forward. Now I have to be careful that the letterbox is in fact dry at this stage, otherwise my dark green is just going to whoosh into the letterbox, which you can see is starting to happen. So we can just mop that up and not panic, it'll be fine. I'll use exactly the same approach for the red spiky grasses, and these I'm very excited to put in. There's something fun about painting red leaves, so I'm enjoying choosing what feels like unusual colours, and they are the pinks, and I've got a quinacridone violet which I'm using as the dark colour here. It's a deep sort of burgundy colour, and I love it. But those sort of red tones sitting next to green always look very exciting because they are opposite each other on the colour wheel. So they are complementary pairs. They really bring out the best of each other. So pinks and greens always look good together. Let's do the path. A path is a wonderful thing in a composition because it literally leads the viewer's eye in and through the painting. So it's one of the things that you can think about manipulating a little bit in your reference. You might have a pathway, but you might find that it better serves your painting if you bend the pathway in a slightly different direction, or shift it up, or make it end sooner or later, just so that it sits better in your composition. In this particular reference photo, I don't think I needed to make too many changes to it, but it does serve another very important purpose, which is it holds these shadows, and they're very important structurally. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. I'm wanting to put in some of this shadow, and it might seem odd that I'm painting the shadow before I'm painting the thing that's making the shadow, but it's because I want the shadow to go in wet into wet. You know, it doesn't really matter. If I put it in, if I put the path in and let it dry, then I can come back in and put in the shadow and soften it off and get a similar effect. It would just mean that I'd have to be a bit more patient. It's going to take me a bit longer. Now, those lavender bushes. You know, if we're talking about simplification, these lavender flowers are a good example of something else that really can do with a good deal of simplifying, because they are something that can feel really quite complicated. You know, if you're thinking about the way the flower is constructed and all the little stalks and all their little tiny leaves and the different shades of green, and the way the petals are structured in a particular lavender bloom, you know, all of that is far too much to think about. Really, all we want to do is suggest the big, broad shapes. So for this, all I'm doing is thinking about what is the lightest color I see, and I've got this lovely soft lavender, and I'm popping a few little marks, and I'm really just looking at what is the basic shape that the petals make all together, and popping in a few marks like that. And then I'm taking a darker purple and adding a few more dark marks here and there to give some variety to the lighter lavender that I've put in. And when you kind of stand back from your reference or stand back from the subject in real life, that's actually the way we see things. You know, it's a bit more of this kind of impressionist approach. It's really just different colored shapes and blobs together that our clever brains turn back into images for us. Now, the distant hedges and trees in the background is where we've done the most simplification. And I think this is where watercolour really shines, because with your brush marks, you can very efficiently put in interesting marks that they're subtle enough that the background is just going to sort of fade into the distance, but interesting enough that they still belong in the painting. While we really are simplifying here, what is important is the values. By values, I mean the dark and light. And it's so important, it's something I made a separate video all about. I'll pop that in the description. But you can see how important the dark background is for making this little letterbox edge pop right out of the painting. And it's also the same thing I was talking about when I mentioned the structure earlier. Remember, we were talking about the shadows on the pathway, because they are another one of the very darkest parts of the painting. And it's this pattern of the darks that go across the back in the horizon here, and the dark shadows that are leading us up through the pathway, and even on the right hand side of those other lavender bushes. All those little darks are what really are drawing the eye and giving the painting its bones. So doesn't matter what we do, what we simplify, as long as we have a nice sound value structure to work with. If you want to learn more about that, this is the video that you'll want to watch next. Happy painting!